Hey there, YouTube. Today I am going to read another article that I wrote. It is kind of long, so this might be in two parts. It's called A Healthy Dose of Doubt: Why Americans Are Changing Their Minds About Circumcision. It goes like this. Circumcision is becoming a hot topic for today's expecting parents. Word is out that not only has circumcision been considered medically unnecessary since the 70s, even though it hasn't been common knowledge, but also that it's damaging. Delving into this country's circumcision past is a disturbing enough journey, but what's most surprising is that the cruelty and racism that seem to surround the promotion of this controversial surgery aren't only buried in the past, but are still alive today. There's more to know about circumcision than most people would guess. After hearing that it's quick, painless, and beneficial for so long, it seems at first like there wouldn't be much there if you went digging. Parents are taking a much more active role in this decision than ever before, and discovering for themselves just how much has been kept out of sight. Like the protective and sexual value of the foreskin, the damage that occurs from a proper circumcision, or the horrific disfigurement when something goes wrong. In addition to the many reasons to leave our sons intact, we are finding out about the surprising number of men who are restoring their foreskins naturally in an attempt to get back what they feel was wrongfully taken from them. But let's start at the beginning. A little over 100 years ago, scientists knew little about the nervous system and thought that nervous tension from masturbation would have negative health consequences. Because of this, coupled with the accepted social idea that masturbation was an evil, they began circumcising young boys, not babies, as a punishment for or prophylactic against it. They would even refuse to use pain relief so that the, quote, pain attending the operation will have a salutary effect upon the mind, especially if it is connected with the idea of punishment, end quote. They knew that the foreskin was a sensitive part of the penis and felt that society as a whole would benefit from males being less sexually stimulated. As more and more doctors began doing circumcision, the claims of its benefit grew wilder and wilder, and even alleged that it would cure diseases like tuberculosis and epilepsy. Some racist doctors promoting circumcision attempted to use it to further the oppression of African Americans by insisting that circumcision should be forced upon all black males because they were rapists of white women. Quote, we feel fully warranted in suggesting the wholesale circumcision of the Negro race as an efficient remedy in preventing the predisposition to discriminate raping so inherent in that race, end quote. At the time, racism was so commonplace that it could be spouted by professionals and, without a second thought, accepted by the public. The original claimed benefits of circumcision were not based on scientific research. They were based on assumptions and racial and social profiling. It was said many times that the Jewish population was immune to or nearly free of different diseases, and that circumcision must be the key. During those times, and even for years to come, it seemed it wasn't necessary to prove anything or do research first. If you were a doctor and you saw a pattern in your clientele, you could publish your hunch and it became fact. People obviously put a tremendous amount of trust in the medical community, even put to the point of abandoning their own rationale in order to believe that cutting off a part of the penis would cure a lung disease or a brain problem. As time went by, circumcision was said to cure or prevent each new scary disease as it gained popularity. Doctors found a reason to circumcise in everything from cervical cancer down to the simplest things that we would never perform surgery on a girl for, diaper rash. As recently as 2005, one self-named circumcision expert, Dr. E. Schoen, gives bigotry along class and nationality lines as a valid reason to circumcise. Quote, the American public doesn't take well to the idea of using the rest of the world as a model. U.S. parents don't want to follow the health practices of millions of intact Hindus in the ghettos of India or of the hordes of uncircumcised peasants in China, end quote. Today, however, doubting what doctors have to say when they sound ridiculous isn't looked at with scorn. Getting a second opinion is considered an intelligent thing to do. So what are we finding out? The American Cancer Society states, quote, "Most experts agree that circumcision should not be recommended as a way to prevent penile cancer," end quote. Using what we know about other cancers, that behavior and environment often play the biggest roles, we can see for ourselves that cutting off a body part to prevent cancer is silly. We don't cut the breast tissue from our infant girls, even though breast cancer is about 20 times more likely than penile cancer. Believing that circumcision prevents penile cancer could even be detrimental to a man's health if it allowed him to ignore the real risk factors like smoking and promiscuous behavior. The American Academy of Pediatrics casts doubt on studies showing a lower incidence of urinary tract infection among circumcised boys because of unaccounted for confounding factors. These are things that have an effect but weren't studied. Again, once we think about the fact that UTI is much more common in women than men, we can rely on our common sense to see that surgical amputation prior to an actual infection, or even for one, is overkill, especially when UTIs are easily treated with antibiotics. After all, what do we do for a circumcised boy who gets a UTI? Compared with the conservative medical treatment that women receive, circumcision promotion starts to look pretty sexist.